always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that notification bell. So every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. All right, you see the screen. You see I got this Wall Street Journal on you. You know, a lot of y'all ain't subscribed to this, but you should. You should subscribe to stuff like this, especially if you're talking about investing, generational wealth, all that kind of good stuff. You need to have stuff like this and the Baron. And what's the other one? Market Watch. You need to, you need to be reading on this stuff. Read up on this type of information. But anyway, we're gonna go over this story here. It says Black Americans are leaving cities in the North and the West. Departing residents head for the suburbs or metro areas in the South, census estimates show. And that's a good thing. You know, shout out to brother Philip Scott. He said in many of his videos, you know, that brothers and sisters need to come to the South. This is where you belong. This is where you got your roots. You know, it brings up something that I was thinking about not too long ago, is that I talk to people, the jobs I've worked at, you know, so basically I'm saying I won't say random people, you know, random people that I just meet, get acquainted with at a couple of the places that I've worked here in the past. And one thing I noticed is that as much as they say that we don't have a lot of land ownership, and we don't, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the world or the rest of, you know, the mother folk or whatever, I know at least 3 people who have land, either them or someone in their family. And I'm talking about a nice plot of land, like maybe, you know, anywhere from 10 to 100 or a few hundred, maybe 1,000 acres that's in their family, that was passed down from at least 3-4 generations or beyond. And I'm like, if that's the case, I said, there's a lot of black people out here with land, and a lot of them don't know what to do with it. And there are stories where they are losing the land, not understanding how the system works and how they can get, like, you know what I'm saying, jacked about their land, you know, underhandedly. You know, there's a lady that's 94 years old. I don't know what state she's in, but she's fighting to keep her little plot, you know, that her husband, I think, got. And she got the deed for it, you know, a few years ago. They're trying to make her move. And she's like, look, I'm 94 years old. I want to stay where I'm at. It's like, man, that's cold blooded, because they want to build like a highway or build some houses or something out there. I mean, that is like cold blooded. And it doesn't make sense. You know, it's wrong, but that just show you how dirty people are. That just show you how dirty folks are. Is they don't care that the old black woman can't even keep her land. But anyway, let's get into this story. Because, you know, we're gonna dissect it, we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna tell it like it is. As you can see, who wrote the article, you know, so make sure you get your credits out when you researching and you reviewing these stories. It said the waves of migration that brought black Americans to many northern cities are reversing. Departing residents are heading everywhere from nearby suburbs to high growth areas in the southern U.S., such as Metro Atlanta, according to demographers, real estate agents, and public officials. The latest U.S. Census Bureau estimate released Thursday indicate black residents are continuing to leave many suburb centers in the north and elsewhere, adding to decades of decline. Those losses have hit major cities with historically large black populations, include Chicago, crime, Democrat; Detroit, crime, Democrat; Cleveland, crime, Democrat; Oakland, California, crime, Democrat. The outflow marks a reversal of the Great Migration that began in the early 20th century as millions, it probably started before then, you know, with slavery, and folks like Harriet Tubman tried to get people to go north. But anyway, technically, as millions of black Americans left the South looking for more economic opportunities and to flee racial violence, not knowing that there's racism all over the country. You know, a lot of people didn't understand, and still to this day, but you can get the information anywhere, that the U.S., you know, was full of racism from north to the South, that the North really, a lot of them didn't really care about, you know, getting rid of slavery. You know, it was more of an economical thing that the South was making all the money, and the South was trying to secede from the Union, and shoot, they was gonna have the money and the power to do it. So Abraham Lincoln had to pretty much end all that to keep the country together, to keep the North from pretty much failing. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that. So what I'm saying is, it's not that there wasn't racism in the North. It's just that nobody was really talking about it, because you always believed that the South had slavery and they was the only races, and the North just loved black people. And actually out the hell, they said what, Boston is one of the most racist cities in the country. Like, come on now. Much of the current shift is driven by younger, college-educated black people who are relocating from northern and western places to the South, says William Frey, a demographer at the Brookings Institute. And you see this map here: black population change from 2010 to 2020, increase, decrease. You see the little legend right there. And you look down here, this is like Dallas here, Killeen a little bit. You know, this is where the military base is. This right here is probably around by Houston, you know, Louisiana, probably close to Lake Charles, Shreveport, Jacksonville, Florida. That's a lot. Columbus, Ohio. That's a lot of. Like Columbus is increasing big time. That's pretty good. And so on and so forth. But it said more people. You can see where there's more people going to the South and not as much up there. Chicago, look at that. People leaving. People running up out of Chicago. Some are motivated by rising housing costs and worries about safety. I want some peace and quiet. I was tired of the gunshots, the sirens, said Mary Hall Rayford, a retired teacher who moved from Detroit to neighboring East Point, Michigan in 2012. East Point was a nice little city. But y'all, this is nothing new. This goes on everywhere. You know, a lot of people try to say that you get money, you move, then people move out the hood, they forget about the hood. It's not that you forget about the hood. The problem is that you remembering the hood. You're remembering how it was. I can remember growing up and someone breaking into our house, and my parents, they moved into a nice little old, little middle class house neighborhood, in the east part of Dallas, far east, like Pleasant Grove area. And it was like what you call old money, or, really middle class. As time went on, demographics changed. You had what you call Section 8, people was renting out houses, more and more blacks. Think about it, it's like this. People live in a bad neighborhood. They want to move to a good neighborhood because of the crime rate. What happens is sometimes when people move, they bring in that riffraff with them and they don't realize it. They say, I'm going to get my son away from all this, all this gang banging and all this crime and stuff out here in this, over here in this neighborhood. Not understanding your son is part of that, or your daughter is part of that. And you bringing them elements with you. And so now eventually, if you don't be careful, and if you ain't parenting and watching your child and disciplining and raising your child correctly, that area is going to turn to the same thing, which is what happened. And I can remember, somebody breaking into our house. I get home one day. Normally I would get home a little earlier, but this day I caught the bus, and me and my friend, I don't know why we'd stopping somewhere looking around. It took longer to get to the house. And by the time I got home, my parents were already there. I already called upon my mom was there. I don't think my dad had made it yet. I already called the police because somebody broke into the house. And then probably not within 2 weeks later, they tried to do it again, but the blocks were reinforced better. And my mom was ready to move. So we moved to another neighborhood, it's inside of Dallas, another middle class, old money neighborhood, new house, new neighborhood, actually new subdivision. Everything was cool. Then all of a sudden you see signs, no money down, no interest, housing. When you saw that, you knew it was coming. The next thing you know, somebody stole the lawnmower out of my parents' yard, stole then tried to break into the house too. Yeah, so like I say, somebody stole, my dad's lawnmower, and then one night he's at choir rehearsal, and My mom was at home alone, and we had a 2-story house, 6-foot fence, and somebody, I guess by this time my dad had got rid of the dog. I guess he got tired of taking care of it, but I had moved out, grown by this time, and my mom said somebody knocking on the back door and trying to kick it in. But you know, my mom, lucky, you know, she hit the alarm and she keep that iron on her. So she hit the alarm and, you know, and they ran off or whatever. After that, she was ready to go. So now, they moved out to the country, got a nice little old spread or whatever, and so forth and so on. And now that part of town is growing too. So who knows? They may not move again because, you know, they up in age and they ain't really trying to move. But that's the thing, man. Like I say, it ain't nothing new. People have been moving away from crime for the longest. It's not that you forget about the hood. It's like you tired of it. You can stay somewhere. You want to stay around your people. You want to stay in certain areas, be comfortable, have fun, enjoy barbecues, you know, block parties, fight parties, you know, going to the park, going to the rec, play basketball, but, you know, just enjoy yourself. And you have an element that comes in and ruins it. And then it becomes a major part of the makeup of the neighborhood. And you try to, you know, call the police. You can't call the police. You try to call the police, they call you snitching. You know, they want to threaten you, might threaten your family, might even try to take you out. So it's like, what's the best thing to do? What can you do? If you ain't got if nobody backing you up, you got to go. You know, but you know, remember back in the 50s and 60s, you know, you really had them problems because a lot of them families, and this, I think this would need to go back to, a lot of the men, you know, they were military guys back from the war, starting families. So when they was in the neighborhood, they watched the neighborhood. They wouldn't let them kids act a fool. You know, we get at them young, you know, and put them in their place young so they can show, you know, learn respect. And that's how them neighborhoods thrived and survived. But now you don't have that, because you're missing fathers, or, you know, single mothers or single parents with 2-3 jobs really can't raise the kids in the streets raising the kids. I mean, it's just a story that's been around forever. They say she served on the school board and running for mayor. They said the new census estimates show other cities included in the county level data. Like Philadelphia and Baltimore saw the number of non-Hispanic black residents decline more steeply. Why is it non-Hispanic black? Why you gotta put Hispanic? I don't like that. That's hurting out. It messes with my reparations. But anyway, steeply than their overall population in the last measured year, which runs through mid 2022. Where am I trying to get to? Kyrie Minor grew up in South Philadelphia and opened a barbershop there in 2016. Since the pandemic hit and crime rose, he said about 5% of his customers have left the city. The 47-year-old father of 3 is planning his own move when his lease expires in December, and is scouting houses in suburban Darby, Pennsylvania. Better school district, nicer neighborhood. There's not people out on every corner, Minor said. And what's wrong with that? I don't see nothing wrong with a brother trying to move to a better place. And, you know, starting somewhere, because sometimes that's what you got to do. You can't sit there and just, you know, just crash and burn and die with the ship. Sometimes you got to just move to somewhere where people that's like-minded to help, to where you can grow as a community. I remember when I was a kid, like I say, grew up in my parents' house. You know, I had a child young, I say 18, 19 years old, moved out. Got grown, moved out, trying to raise a family. When my daughter got older, as time went on, and I'm noticing where I'm living, where my parents live, where I'm trying to get to, notice how the neighborhood is changing. I focus more on it because I had my own kids. And I said, man, I want to put my kids in private school because I know how DISD the school system is. They want my kid in DISD. If I didn't have any children, I said I would have never had no problem staying in Pleasant Grove, because I had no problem with it. I was comfortable. I was cool with it. But thinking about my children, my daughter at the time, I'm like, nah, I don't want to pay for no private school. Really didn't have the money at the time. But so the next best thing is to move somewhere where school districts are better, the neighborhood is better, and it's all funded by tax dollars. And then as I can keep on doing my comeuppance, as time go on, maybe I can afford, a private school. But at this time, can't do it. But like I said, nothing wrong with that. When you want better for your people and you're trying to grow, and some people are not on that same path, you just move around and you find other neighborhoods that accept that have that. But the problem is that the majority of these neighborhoods are predominantly white. Not saying it's a problem, but saying that when you look at statistics, and it's a book I read, I think it's called A Whiteness of Wealth. It talks about how them folk only want a percentage. If you keep the percentage of black people in your neighborhood below like 10%, the property values whole value. But if you get more than 10%, the property values start to fall, and then that's why you have white flight. It's mainly a perception, but whether it's true or not, it hold any kind of validity. It doesn't matter. That's what they think, and that's what happens. So that's why you have white flight in a lot of these neighborhoods, because they feel, oh, got too many black people in the neighborhood, we got to go. Because all they're going to do is party and drink and, have a bunch of cars out in the front yard, engines out there, weight benches out in the front yard, drinking 40, smoking weed all day. That's what they think. Not even worried about thinking about that. They could be living next to you for 10 years and nothing ever happens, but they're still going to think, oh, this is what black people do. Or they're going to say you're one of the good ones, so that's where the problem comes. So then it says that if you live in a neighborhood that's majority white, your property values are most likely to stay up. But once more black people come in, you buy a house, you may have to end up selling that house for less than what you bought it for. But anyway, that's a long story. That's another story. The Whiteness of Wealth. You can find that book. I plugged it on the old video before. It said the decline in Philadelphia's black population is recent and coincides with the pandemic. So it remains unclear whether the trend is temporary, says Katie Martin, project director of the Pew Charitable Trust, Philadelphia's Research and Policy Initiative. This new migration has implications large and small. The influx of black voters who vote Democrat has turned former GOP-dominated Georgia into a swing state in recent elections. And this is what people ain't understanding. A lot of these problems have to do with your politics. And they're not understanding it. They're like, they will live in a place where they see how the rules and regulations are hurting or helping, depending on how you look at it. And they see who's in control, but it doesn't matter because somehow they believe it's better than, voting for the other person. But why? So here's my thing. Why vote for people who ain't trying to give us nothing? Ain't trying to help us grow and get better. And instead of voting for people who say, hey, these are laws, these are rules, everybody better follow them, either catch up or get caught out. And it's like giving you a chance. Now they may not give you all the chances and everything that everybody else has, but I mean, at least you know what the rules are. At least you know what it is, and so you can, deal with it accordingly. If you can hang, you can hang. If you can't, you leave. But I don't understand it. But yeah, a lot of this mess has to do with, you voting. Let's just say down Democrat, and Democrats ain't doing nothing for you. You know what they said? They ain't gave you no hate crime laws when the feds done said that the most hate crimes are committed against, black Americans. Hell, no. Is it Minnesota? Minnesota passed a law saying that it could be a felony if you, pretty much call somebody out of their pronoun, which is crazy. But yet we've been called the N-word for generations, and nobody has went to jail for it. So you got crimes where a lady shot a sister through the door, and they say she been hollering the N-word and racial stuff for the longest, and she ain't been charged with a hate crime. But you are under Democratic rule right now. But still, people will still vote Democratic because they're afraid that the mother folk are just prejudiced. But hell, everybody. There's a whole lot of people out there that you deal with, that you buy stuff from, that you hang with, that you break bread with, don't like you. So let's just, man, come on, let's just be for real and stop listening to what everybody else say. When people filter out from inner cities, the neighborhoods and businesses they leave can suffer, according to residents and politicians. Growing up in Cleveland's majority black neighborhood of Mount Pleasant, Mayor Justin Bibb said he got his first haircut, bought his first bicycle, and went on his first date at a local ice cream shop, all on the same street. The majority were black owned, the 36-year-old Democrat said. So he's a young fella regarding shops there. And unfortunately, they went out of business. Tell you why they went out of business? One, if it wasn't a crime, because it probably played a big part in it. You know, the prices may have been a little too high, trying to compete with Walmart. You know, just that's what you're facing. When we have to understand, look, we just got to keep patronizing black businesses, man. I buy this, what you call True detergent through the mail. I buy it all the time. I don't know how much it costs. I mean, I don't even care. You know, because it's a black-owned detergent company. And no matter what, that's what I get. And I try to buy other products, you know, by black people, trying to patronize businesses. So, you know, to keep the dollar in the black community as long as possible, because we're trying to, it ain't got nothing being racist, because some people say, oh, you buying black, that sounds racist. No, I'm trying to get my community up to where yours is. And that's how y'all do it. Y'all buy, y'all sell to anybody, but you'll buy your people. And that's for white people, Asians, Hispanic, no matter what. So when black people do it, now it's racist. Now, I think it's because we put it out there. That's what we're doing. I think that's what the problem is. Everybody else just does it. Like, you know, Mexicans shop with Mexicans and you know, spend money with them. And, you know, what do you call it? Like Indians, Asians, you know, Eastern Indians and everybody else, they shop with each other, Arabs and everybody else. You know, they shop with their own people, live with their own people. They just do it. They don't have to talk about it. We like to sit there and say, oh, yeah, I'm buying black this, buying black that. It's like, man, you ain't got to put out there. Just do it. If you just do it, then you on code. Everybody ain't got to know. Because then you ain't got to tell everybody. Everybody just see it. Because what they say, what is understood don't have to be explained. Let's say Bibb said Cleveland is focused on restoring commercial corridors in a city where the overall population shrank from more than 900,000 in 1950 to 373,000 people in 2020. Dang. Nationwide, black people haven't suburbanized at the same level as the broader population. But the share of the black population living in metropolitan area suburbs reached 44% by 2020 from 33% 2 decades earlier. Over the same period, the percentage of black population living in central cities declined to 47% from 53%. It says black populations in the South have increased. Harris County added about 18,000. There go the non-Hispanic black residents again. Why don't you just say, where's the ADOS or where's the FBA numbers? That's what I want to see. Non-Hispanic black residents between mid-2021 and 2022. Countries like Atlanta saw gains. Lakeisha McMillan moved to Clayton County just south of Atlanta in the fall 2021. A 41-year-old nurse said she decided to leave her house in Williamsboro, New Jersey, Willingboro, New Jersey, near Philadelphia, because she was unhappy with the way the police responded to an altercation between her teenage son, who is black, and a white teen. Ain't get no better down here. She was able to find a 5-bedroom house bigger than the house she sold for about the same price. And that's what I like. Shoot, you come to the South, you know, not really now, but a few years back before the pandemic, so you can buy a house, a big house, you know, 4-5 bedrooms, sitting on an acre and a half for the price you would pay for, you know, a house in the inner city. That's like 3 bedrooms sitting on a 0 lot. You know, that's what I like about it. There's a lot of land out here. So I want to live down south, but still want the city feeling. That's why I moved to where I'm at, because I'm like close to Dallas, not in Dallas, but close enough to get there, but far enough away to where I'm not dealing with it, you know. Let's say called Atlanta Black Mecca of the world. Oakland's black population has been declining for decades. The new census estimates show the black population declined by 2.3% in Alameda County, which includes Oakland, between mid 21 and mid 22. History of practices such as redlining made it historically harder for black people to acquire property and benefit when the housing market improved, said City Council member Carl Fife. This is why I say, come to the South, man, get you some land. However you can, you know, get your acre, get you a couple acres, get you a few acres. Bring your whole family. Y'all put in together and, you know, get you about a good 5-10 acres. You know, try to find it where you got some kind of infrastructure, you know, so you got utilities. It's already underground if you can. And build on it. Get you a manufactured home, get you a tiny house, something, you know. Get you a few of them out there and put them out there. So we stop trying to live with the Joneses and stop trying to buy these big houses, you know, these big mansions and stuff, or 4 or 5 bedroom houses that's costing too much and you can't really afford it, but that's what you want people to look at you in awe. Like, nah, man, just, I said, get some land and y'all pitch in, build some houses, might build one big house everybody can live in, and everybody pool their money, then build another one on your plot. Everybody pool in the money, you know, pay that house up, pool in some money, buy another house, and so that everybody can have somewhere to stay. Cause that's what I wish I would have done, you know, cause I got it now. Don't get me wrong, I got a nice little quaint house, you know, a nice big size yard for everything. I could put a shed, I could put a little tiny house back there, I could put a pool, basketball goal, anything else out there, and still have room. But if I would just wait a little bit longer, there was a house maybe half a mile down the street, 5 acres, same size, a little older, so a little more seasoned, and could have got that, man, I've been happy. Because then I could have had like all the kids, grandkids, anybody else, because, you know, even my parents, if they get old and can't really get around, shoot, build them a little house in the back and call it a day. But that's what you need to do. Black people who live in the city are at risk of being pushed out or into lower income neighborhoods as housing costs rise, says Carolyn Johnson, chief executive of the Black Culture Zone, a community development organization in the city. She is concerned this dispersal saps the political power of black residents within the city. That's 2 things you need to have. Deal with politics and money. Not necessarily in that order. Because you really need money to be able to understand politics and to be able to have power in politics. So you can determine who you want to vote in, and the money, and who you and the candidate that you want to, you know, put money behind. Because we sit here and talk about, oh, we keep the Democratic Party alive. We voted Joe Biden, not we, but, you know, y'all, but, you know, we voted Joe Biden in and everything. So now he owes us something. But you saying that, but there was a super PAC created years ago to where they raised millions upon millions of dollars for his campaign in order to get something in return. He's going to talk to them first. You guys, thank you for voting, but got to go where the money is. Because if it wasn't for the money, we wouldn't have made the push to go out there and get y'all. Say black people deserve to stay in places that they held down when it wasn't fun, Johnson said. Yeah, that's true. While black population in Detroit's Wayne County again ticked down, the share of black residents in Macomb County, which includes East Point, increased to an estimate 13.5%. So this is East Point changed its name from East Detroit in the early 1990s, hoping to avoid association with the Motor City, because hell, there was a lot of crime and things going down, so they changed. I get it. I really do get it. But you can I'm gonna post this in the link. When you click on it, if you can't open it, that means you don't have a subscription. So that means you need to go on and get you one. They may have a deal right now, so where you can, you know, save on it. But shit, we need to read, man. We do need to read, and we need to get knowledge so we can figure out how to get our communities right. So when we do move to the South, when y'all do come down to the South and we welcome y'all with open arms, you already know what the code is. you already understand what we trying to do in these communities. You already understand we ain't taking no riffraff. We boot you up out of here. You up here starting drama. We don't need our communities hot. You know, you understand the tax codes and how to use them and work them to where you can pay as little tax as possible, so it can help you create that generational wealth for your family for the future. You know, you understand, look, we got this land and we're going to build on this land and we're going to create these neighborhoods. We don't care if they say what our house values are, because we ain't planning on moving anyway. You feel me? We're going to use these values to be able to, when we paying and we got equity, you know, put our kids through school or starting a business, you know, investing the money, you know, getting into the, you know, stock market and investment, so we can get that generational wealth, you know, insurance, life insurance, things of that, what you call it, Roth IRAs and things of that nature, mutual funds, understanding how those work, and understanding family, you know, raising kids that come from good stock. So when your son meets another woman, or your daughter meets a man or a young boy, a young man, whatever, they come from good stock too, and you feel safe and feel secure to, you know, to meet the families and mingle and feel good that your child picked a good mate, and then they can create a great family, and then their kids can meet like-minded kids from the same type of family and stuff like that, and it just goes on for generations after generations. And then that's the only way we're gonna just, you know, knock down this hood mentality, this negative hood mentality, not the hood we grew up in back when grandma and mama could send you to the store with a grocery list to, you know, Mr. Jim's down the street. And on a note, you know, she'd say, you know, tell him that I'm gonna pay him on Friday when I get paid, and you hand him the list and he'll get the groceries and give you the bag, and you can take them home. You ain't gotta worry about nobody bothering you. You ain't gotta worry about nobody robbing and killing them. That's what we need to get back to, y'all. But anyway, that's all I got for this story, man. Hey, I want y'all to just, like I say, man, just pay attention to it. Read over it, understand what we're trying to get to, man. It's gonna take work, but that's what we're here for. We ain't had too much fun, and we had so much fun that stuff done passed us by, and that ain't right. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.